Okay, so now, real quick, lesson for today. So, what's a tribe?
Well, a tribe would be a shared culture.
Wouldn't that just be a community?
If
Why not? What's the difference?
you think of a tribe as a spiritual blood lineage, that's common.
So, is a tribe a community?
Can it be a sector within a community?
Is a community a tribe?
It can be. Or a tribe is more of a bloodline.
So, a tribe is not a community, but a community can be a tribe.
Can be.
What's a community?
So a community center, just thinking of it that way, is a space that people come into together. So there's a shared experience. And I would think that a tribe is in line with what Maria was saying. So within a tribe, there will be maybe a community, but there could be different things happening as well.
I just, when I hear community, I hear commune and unity. So I would think a community is a group of people that come together in unison to commune together.
Oh, like it says in the grasping of the divine power.
Well, yeah,
Right. I don't forget what I write. Act my stuff in front of me. So you're saying a tribe is not necessarily a community.
I think a tribe, your tribe is supposed to be your community.
Okay, but is your community your tribe?
Not necessarily. Not by definition,
I
no.
think they're supposed to, away from the West and Babylon, your community is just people you live around and not necessarily your tribe.
So, for instance, if we in this house, if we fall under the same blood clan requirements, we would be a tribe, right?
Yes.
But let's say we live in this house, so that means the tribe is inside of the community.
No.
But we live in the community.
But we're not of that. We're not participating in the activities.
So we do anything we want. Even what if there's rules of this community, we don't follow them because we're on the tribe.
Not well. I mean, if the land we're living in is like a reservation, let's say, yes, and it may be within a larger border, the land we're living on may be subject to the laws we create versus the laws that are created
That means you have various tribes inside of that community.
This is true.
Yes.
So what you're saying then is that a tribe is actually a community. No, what you're saying is, from what I'm understanding, is that a tribe is a community, but a community is not necessarily a tribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. It was a while to get there, but you got there. You did it. So what does the word tribe mean?
Does it come from the word tribunal?
No.
Meaning
Tribunal comes from tribe. What word do you see in tribe?
tribe.
Tribe. Three. So the word tribe is actually, it comes from the concept of the Roman three major factions of the state. Okay, so that's where tribe. And then buenos means to be. So tribe means to be three. See? If you couldn't break it down like I just broke it down, you don't know it. So don't try to show it. Because you won't be able to flow with it. That's what you have to kind of look at it like. Okay, so you got to know, if you know it, you don't. So we're talking about the three forms, right? Now, we have in the Bible, now this is the only time I let y'all pull out stuff, look stuff up. So the first time you saw the word tribe, it was in reference to Judah.
See, I have called by name Azali, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah.
Baziah, you should say, right? It's an L at the end.
Yes.
Right, okay. Of the tribe of
Judah.
Yehuda. Okay. So that's the first instance you see the word tribe used in the Bible. But the fact is, it's not actually true. It was used all throughout the Bible, right? So let's go to, matter of fact, no. First time you see the term rod in the Bible, R-O-D, rod.
Let's see, 1 Corinthians 4:21. Shall I come to you with a rod, or in love and in spirit of gentleness?
Rod is typically the Hebrew word mate or rabinatos. Okay, that's the Latin. So you typically have two terms that are often put together, rod and staff. Okay, they're not the same thing. In ancient Kemet, we have what was called the aswet, and we had the nekaka, okay, which was similar. In Medu, it's the aswet and nekaka. And if you ever notice, like a lot of times when you would see like the tombs, burial tombs, you see them holding the two things like this, right? One had a hook on it, on the end, and the other one, it had, it was like a stick with three flails. So they call it that hook and flail and flail, excuse me, the hook and flail, right? So the hook represented the staff. It was a shepherd staff because the shepherd staff was critical in guiding, right? But the rod was critical in like almost everything else. So the rod was not just used for punishment, it was used for correction and for inspection. So what the shepherd would do is he would use that to part the hair of the sheep to see if like there were any wounds or any infections. So it was used for inspection, but also you would use, because sheep are very gentle. They have no no defenses. They don't have something. It's like, I'm here. Yeah, it's a free fall. So they would use the rod to also fend off would-be predators as well. But the staff would be used to free them because they would hook the staff in a way where it could fit around the neck to pull them into a certain place, or you could put it around their leg to pull them, or if they get stuck in the bush or stuff like that, right? The word that's typically used in the Hebrew for staff is shevet. Now, et, whenever you see that, et means earth. So shevet or shevets. Sometimes you just see ets. Shevets will typically be staff. You'll have mate. The word mate in your Hebrew, which is the word that is used for rod or staff, sometimes they're interchangeable. They use mate, is the exact same word they use for tribe. Okay, so mate means branch, extension, or tribe, or tribal, mate. So when you say the tribe of Judah, for instance, you're saying the branch of Judah. You do not have a tribe unless you have a patriarchal chief. That's what signifies a tribe. It can be a blood clan, and typically it would have been a blood clan, but it's a branch of rod. Now you have, for instance, spare the rod, spoil the child. So what is the rod? So for you to understand this really quickly, I had sheep and goat on my farm. Like my sheep and my goat were very different than like the ones you would go to like a breeding farm to get, because the ones in the breeding farm, they live in a pen. Whereas mine, I would walk them around my property every day. The difference that you find with those two type of animals, sheep, they scare very, 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 very easily. So like when you're walking sheep, one of your uses for the staff is like if they're going near a bush, you got to hit the bush and scare out anything that might be in there that would scare the sheep. Because once they spook, they just go running and they go crazy because they don't have any defenses. So you can never let your sheep get scared. Like that's a big thing. You cannot. So usually you'll even have your dogs. Oh. Your dogs will be barking, because when dogs bark, everything runs. Bears, so if there's bears in the area, they hear the dogs, they run off, right? Snakes, stuff like that. Even rabbits. Those will spook a sheep. They're so scared of everything. What I found back in the days is that my sheep were very trusting. So if I had to touch my sheep, or I would grab one of my sheep to pull over, or tell my dog, hey, go bring the sheep over, they would just come. But when you go to like a farm or a breeding farm, they run. You got to chase those sheep down because they don't trust you. What I learned is that the more you touch the sheep, the more trusting they'll stand right by your leg like a dog. They're very calm. Same thing with the goats. They become very calm. The more you handle them, the calmer they become. The more you constantly guide, hey, get over, hey, and the dog is chasing them, they just become very relaxed and secure and calm. The ones on the farm, the breeding farm, you got to run them down when you want to. Oh, I want that one right there. They got to go try to find it and wrestle them to the ground. When you look at the science of the rod and the staff and the scriptures, it's showing you the process that we have with the king or with the chief. Remember, the word mate is tribe, staff, rod. So when you say the tribe of Yehuda, the rod of Yehuda, the staff of Yehuda, these two do two different things. The rod is used, yes, sometimes you got to hit something, scare something off, or use for inspection. There's a bunch of other stuff. The staff you will use also to lean on. There's scriptures about shepherds leaning on the staff. So that's what they used to do, because you remember, as a shepherd, you're walking on it, and you can't sit down because you have to always see over the head of all your sheep, because you can smell them. They have a smell. Predators smell them from miles away, like this food, boxes and things like that. And I've walked mine before and seen like coyote, but because I'm there with the dogs and stuff, they're not going to come down, but they're looking, hoping, okay, well, maybe one will veer off or whatever. So you're constantly pulling it, you're constantly pulling them into a line while you're walking. So so you're tired. They would use the staff to lean on, but still be able to stand up and still watch. So the staff was a resting place as well. When you look at the term tribe, again, the word mate, there in the Hebrew, you're looking at the concept of being corrected, being guided, being protected daily, constantly touching. The more you touch your sheep, the better they become. Even if you got to hit them a little bit with the rod, whatever, they calm down, they become better. The more they feel that they're out there and they're kind of doing their own thing, the worse your sheep get. And when you go to the spots, if you want to buy sheep, you could tell the ones that have had no kind of correction or anything, because the whole time when you're in the car, they'll be screaming when you're bringing them back home. They'll be screaming the whole ride back. They're just terrified when you are constantly touching. So that concept of a tribe requires that the king or the chief, in ancient Kemet, it would have been the Nagaru or the pharaoh. So the pharaoh always had the rod and the staff, showing that he's leading his people like a shepherd would lead his people, always watching, always vigilant, keeping things away from his people that would attack his people, so forth and so on. But the rod is the rod of correction, but the rod of protection. In Old Testament, you have Aaron. Remember when they were trying to figure out who's going to be the next leader? And the Most High said everybody should have their rod. Like every male head of his tribe should have a rod, because the rod was the scepter of authority, and some rods were better than others. Rod, when they were like picking like who's going to be the next leader, Aaron's rod not only grew, like it grew leaves on it, but then it grew buds, then it grew fully ripe almonds in one night. The significance is that it was a dead piece of wood. It wasn't like this was a branch on a tree you just took. This was a dead piece of wood that was carved and everything, made into a rod, and they would put their names on it, and the names of all the men of their tribe, like the heads of the houses of inside their tribe, they would put on that rod. And then now it grows fully ripe almonds. And that's how they know, okay, you're the next leader, because the Most High is growing through you. So the rod represents growth. But then we look again at when Moses, he had his, because remember, Moses was a shepherd. And when he goes up against Pharaoh, he has his rod. Rod turns into a snake, he picks it back up, turns to a rod again. He holds his rod over the Red Sea, the sea part. So you're seeing that the rod itself is the authority of the Most High. This is why the Queen of England holds a scepter. The scepter is supposed to be the biblical rod. They just don't tell you that. That's what it's supposed to be. She's saying, I have the authority of God to rule these people. That's the science of that. And you usually will decorate your rod very elaborate, because you would be known by that. That's why there was one verse in the Bible one time where someone had to be sent out, and he was given the signet ring and the rod. And he was like, when you go through the land, just show these, and they'll know that it was me. I sent, because everybody knows what my rod looks like. They're going to know you're from me. It was a form of identification. If you're holding these, that means you have the authority of that house. So now let's take it to tribe. So the purpose of the tribe is to grow and evolve those who are in it by constantly touching, testing, guiding, correcting, protecting, so forth and so on. But it's constant. The moment you let your hand off, things are going to go crazy. And there's no separate word for tribe. It was mate. So even though we use a term like the tribe of Judah, we didn't actually have to use that word. They could have said the branch of Judah. They used tribe because that's what the Romans used. But it would really be the branch of Judah, the rod of Judah, or Dan, the rod of Dan, the authority of Dan. You see, the scepter of Dan. And what's significant in that, you cannot have that rod or that scepter or that staff if you don't have a shepherd or that chief. If there's no chief, if there's no shepherd, there's no king, there is no authority. There is no rod, because your authority comes through the one who holds the rod. Now, we know, of course, when we look in our Isheshe or our Orisha culture, we have Shango with his double-headed axe, which represents his authority. He's the king. But it also is a representation of the male penis, because the authority comes through that paternal line, the creative potential of the man. Understanding what it means to think at a tribal level. I think the answer some of y'all gave, they all live in the same place, and there might be blood, and they practice the same laws or whatever. It could be that. It could be that. But if you have a bunch of women doing that, it's no tribe. If a bunch of children doing that, it's no tribe. You have to have that chieftain at the top who has the staff and who has the rod, one in each hand, because they work hand in hand. Sometimes they'll use both of them to free stuck sheep. If you're in a bush or something, and you might have to use the staff to grab his leg, and then you might have to use the rod to park things to the side. So sometimes there's correction and there's protection at the same time, but also they get used to constantly having their necks. Yeah, because that's what it's for. Like, they're always being pulled and yanked from the side from where they would think to go, but understand that when they're being pulled and yanked, it's for their own protection. So that's the science there of the tribe. I wanted to kind of share that because that's the space that we're moving into. That's the focus. It's a tribal focus with a chief at the head, which requires what? Being dealt with constantly. The dealing with should be sometimes the way you deal with yourself. When you read about the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. His rod and staff comfort. That's the same way that a sheep would be comfort. Why am I comforted? Because I have somebody who's going to check me and I have someone who's going to protect me. But I'm going to get yanked around from all this check. Get over here. Get over. We go over here. Over here. Over here. Over here, over here. But that's comforting. And when you find that level of comfort in that, then you become a member of the kingdom. Without that, you ain't a member of the kingdom. If you can never be checked, if you can never be guided, then there will be no protection, And what makes you a sheep is the fact that you are being protected. You are recognizing that I don't have any defenses. We don't really have any defenses. Right now, cops can come and kick in the door. It could be a raid to the wrong address, which has happened to me before, literally. And they start shooting. Gun. How did we stop that from happening? There's nothing we could really do physically. Even if you said we fortified the doors, they come through windows. There's nothing you could do. So there has to be an acknowledgement that there's a shepherd that's looking over and watching and seeing. And it means that sometimes I'm not going to be able to do what I want to do. But what I may want to do will lead me in destruction. If I continue doing that, then I'm going to lose that protection. That's the science of being in a tribe. There's a measure of surrendering. And I'm surrendering to this staff, and I'm surrendering to that rod. And I know that the two go together, even in ancient Kemet. Now, the three flails that you would see on the end of that rod, that represented fertility, similar to the almonds that grew on Aaron's rod. It represented the ability to produce. The only way we can produce is through the sanctioning of the Most High. And the only way we get the sanctioning of the Most High is if we're operating through a tribe.
So the ability to reproduce and reproduce, does that also connect to the tribe, the trinity of man, woman, child?
Yes, but it's kind of like it's a baseline connection, because how could you have a chief if there is no man, woman, child? So it's kind of like it's already there anyway. How could you have a tribe with no man, woman, child? So how could you have the authority of the Most High with no man, woman, child? Because you wouldn't be present, you wouldn't exist. Because remember, on the rod of authority is written the names of the fathers of the houses. How would you have a house? Well, you have the house is the woman. So it's kind of already all there anyway. You know what I mean? And we are always the child. Child is always there. We are always the child to the Most High.
So in what you shared, as it pertains to the bringing that comfort or the shepherd, made me think of the good shepherd, and that acknowledgement throughout Scripture of the good shepherd in Scripture, the good shepherd, and connecting that good, as you've spoken to, back to God, right? So even the shepherd is moving in alignment with Yah and with the expectations from that standard.
Well, what's the Hebrew word for good?
Both.
So what's the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet? Tav.
Tav.
What does Tav mean?
Covenant.
The covenant. Right?
Covenant.
Okay.
Tov and Tav are the same word. So when you say the good shepherd, you're saying the shepherd of the covenant. The Most High said, let there be light, and so that light was good. Light was the promise. You came through. This is my covenant. Because how do we know that light was a covenant of the Most High?
It manifested.
Outside of that. Okay. Since you've been on this planet, have you ever not seen light?
No. And when you don't, it's a problem. Like, things go wrong, things don't grow. Right.
Right. But it's still there.
Right. There's still
We
something.
have never not had light, whether it's moonlight, starlight, sunlight. Even if it's an eclipse, there's still starlight. So when the Most High said, "Let there be light," and so that the light was good, He made a covenant saying that let there be, it will always be. I promise that they will always be there. So if we say the good shepherd, that's the shepherd that's always good, because that's the one you just made a covenant. So that tov is critical in that sense. You know, it's the covenant.
And then the second part that I was thinking about had to do with the sheep, and that the sheep who don't find the rod and the staff as that comfort, and then how I was actually thinking of people that leave, like you described, this is what House Yuya, is about, or this is what our new culture looks like. There is that constant correction. And I thought about, well, okay, so the sheep that didn't find comfort, or those that in any culture who don't find comfort, they flee. And so then you're no longer under that covenant then, even based on what you're now saying.
Yes.
So you're out there by yourself, and there is no get over here, or no, don't do that. But not in a good, no, but right, but not in that good way where, hey, I'm keeping you safe, or there isn't anybody to beat the bush to say, look, there's snakes there, and you don't even have the equipment to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
Right.
But we see it every day, and that's why He said, "My sheep will hear my voice and know it is me." Because I'm the shepherd. You know the voice of the shepherd, and you're comforted and calm, like, oh, okay, you're here. No matter what's happening, I know you're here. So you ain't gonna let nothing happen. I know I'm cool. But yeah, what if you don't know the voice?
Right.
You don't know the voice because you don't spend any time with it. So you're screwed. What are we saying, Marge?
I was thinking about being able to hear, like, it's kind of like people being able to hear you when you're speaking, like on these podcasts. It's like we hear the truth. But do you have it in you to come closer to the person who's really, living it? Can you come, but some can't. So it's like you said, many are called, but few are chosen,
And also, the wicked flee when no one
pursues it.
But the righteous stand bold as a lion,
I also thought of the idea concept of sheeple, like, so those who might be wicked or those who run away, what's out there, like you said, is wolves, because it's like, who are you listening to? Who is your shepherd? Maybe it's not good, but something is shepherding you around, and what is that? And I guess that is like the music, the social media, and the news, or whatever else.
Yeah, but you got to look at it like this too. And I've used that term. I like that term. I thought it was a slick little play on words. But why would somebody use the term sheeple?
Right. It's tricky.
They're trying to put what you're supposed to be, which is a sheep.
They're trying to shame you.
Yeah, you're supposed to be sheep. Right. You're shaming you out of following something.
Out of the covenant.
Out of the covenant. I'm going to shame you out of the covenant. Exactly. I'll give you another easy one like that. Like, we live in a time now, it's clear. Women should never do anything only solely and purely for the pleasure of a man. You just don't do it. If I do this, I'm expecting this. Or I'm doing this to manipulate this, but I'm not doing. If a man says, I like my sandwich made this way and I like it served this way, what are you supposed to say? Who are you? I'm not your mother. You tell your mother to make your sandwich like that. I'm not going to do anything solely for your pleasure. But isn't that kind of why you're here? Isn't that what you were made for? Your desire shall be to your husband, right? So, but we live in a society where you have been shamed out of, if you do something for a man, you make a plate for a man, you around some Babylonian women, they're going to ask you, why are you doing that? They're going to ask you why. And if you say because he likes it, if you even have the balls to say it, you might not even have the strength to even tell him because that's what he likes. You might say something, well, I'm just going to feed him girls so he can shut up and we can go. You might make up something, you know what I mean? But if you say, oh, this is how he likes his stuff, they're going to say, oh, you a slave, you brainwashed, you're going to say everything. You stupid. You know what I mean? I don't just because a man, he's just a man, right? So you're being shamed out of your covenant. Again, it's the same thing. You're being shamed out of what it would even precipitate you having a covenant, right? So now that rebellion is sown in you. So there's you're a sheeple, you just follow, you listen. Okay, well, what do? I do follow, I do listen to myself or to my logic or whatever, right? So yeah, that's what it basically being shamed out of what you're supposed to be. So yeah, we have the sheeple concept, but like I said, it's a cool play on words. But I also know that I see this the Satanism in it because you want to be a goat, you want to be a stubborn goat with weird eyes, and goats eat anything. Sheep, they eat like I eat. They eat greens, and they're gentle and they're peaceful in nature, and they got afros. You know what I'm saying?
They're soft.
And they're they're soft and they're not violent, they're peaceful. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that what we're supposed to be on the planet? We're not supposed to be wild and crazy and aggressive, and that's not. We've become that because of the environments that we've chosen to put ourselves into. But we're supposed to be soft and gentle like sheep.
So when we have to be warriors, like so when the children of Israel were told, like, you're going to take them down, is it you only become that hard thing when commanded to, or like as needed?
You only become that hard thing when you're empowered to do. When they would win a war, what would they say? The Lord God of hosts has defeated his enemies. They wouldn't say we did it. They said the Lord God did this because he operated through us. There was a tribe like that. It was in the Melanesian Islands. My father visited. Yeah, he was on tour, and he decided to do this museum thing, and it was this island where you would go there, and the ancient people, when this explorer first came over in the 1600s, he had remarked about like how gentle the people were. He said they were gentle to the point that they were docile. He said, but then when they would go to war, he said that they were so savage that they would come back from the war parties and they would eat the prisoners they captured. And then after they would eat them, they would have these orgies on the beach. He said they were insane. And then there was one guy, I was in that series of islands, when there was an explorer or something, he was an archivist. He went to that island, to one of the neighboring islands, and they said when they came, the only thing left of him was one of his boots. They ate everything. They even ate his other boot. They boiled everything up.
Weird.
But if you saw them, they were like friendly and they would die. They said he said he had never met a more docile people in all of his travels. You see what I'm saying? But they were actually cannibals, but only at times of war. So I think that's an example. Honestly, I know it sounds crazy, but like how the Most High's people are. If you leave us alone, what we gonna do? Cookouts, spades,
Make babies,
right? Have sex. You know what I'm saying? Crack jokes. Just have a good time. But cross that line. Find out. You know what I'm saying? Find out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, in reality, as we say, the Most High is a man of war, but he leadeth me, to the still waters.
Still waters run deep.
But still waters do run deep. You know what I mean? So I think that's an example or a way to kind of look at it. It's like there's an activating thing that happens inside of us when we are open. So that's the spirit of it. You could be a sheep in one instance, and you could be a lion in another, and that's what you're required to be. That's what is an asapa.
Warrior.
Don't be reading and studying something in the middle of a fight. There has to be peace for you to learn and grow. But then there has to be that warrior aspect where you're pushing through your internal demons and you're chopping the heads of devils as you need them. You should be every day like, I'm gonna take the head of the devil off. That should be your theology.
So yes. The covenant is the touch is the covenant. Because
touch.
I'm thinking with the rod and the staff, and you're being corrected and given the right way to go and just cared for, corrected, looked after, protected. That's touch, as opposed to the example you gave of the sheep and the boundaries in the lab, and they're not having any interaction with anyone caring about them in any kind of way.
Well, I wouldn't say that's the covenant. I would say that is the responsibility. In that instance, the sheep doesn't have a shepherd. Think about one is Zion, the other one is Babylon.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So that would be the difference to me. But the covenant, people in Babylon have made a covenant. When you sign your driver's license, that's a covenant. You know what I mean? So X marks the spot. Sign right X. That's where you make your covenant. Anywhere you sign, that you've made a contract. You've made a covenant. You know what I mean? So That's how I would say it's different in that sense.
Okay. And in that example, the sheep that are contained, that don't have a shepherd, you were saying that they are like easily scared because they don't have any comfort. So they don't have any reassurance, any protection. So the first thing that happens, they're completely spooked.
They're spooked.
So it's like not having a covering or not being covered as women in the world. It's like those women are almost, you're either going to stay in that constant state of fear or think that if you learn Taekwondo and you learn how to kickbox and you say you're Oya, or you have these, you have weapons all around you, or you get a gun license, but in fact, you're really not. That's just your fear response because you're uncovered.
Right. Even the levels of insurance we get. Yeah, my job, go get a job for the state. They'll never fire you.
Security, right.
When your security should be in Yah. It should be in the shepherd, not in but that's the trick bag. I mean, there's a pandemic. Go get toilet paper. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just going crazy and then you beating people up in the store for toilet paper and disinfect it.
That the fear was like, if we sit there in fear, then how do we hold people accountable? Because isn't that like an out for like the Jezebel? Oh, well, she was just scared.
I cannot let them people.
Mm-hmm.
Who I want to hold accountable?
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna go to Beyonce concert, stand outside while I live on fire with a sign. Repent. I don't care about them people there. That's the thing. That's a distraction. My sheep hear my voice. People who know, they know. That's the people you click with, just like this. Or people say, "Well, how'd you come into our new man? I saw a chief one time. I don't know, man. It just seemed like the truth, But the ones you got to sit there and be tug and war with, you're not supposed to be here. Maybe you're not a sheep. No, like what do I say? The first judgment is with yourself. So how accountable are you holding yourself first, right? So that's where it starts. Have you had a conversation with the Jezebel inside of you yet? So this is what I'm saying. If you do that and you start there, you will be the light. Let us say, God is my light.
Let this light shine.
You're supposed to be the light. Scriptures say you are the light of the world, right? So and it says a light cannot be hidden. So why would I need to try to convict someone else of anything when my lifestyle doesn't? I know for me, people don't eat certain things around me and they don't talk about certain things and they don't light up nothing. And I don't have to say, don't do that. Because honestly, I don't really care that much. Oh man, I need to eat this around you. I'm sorry. And people, I don't even tell how I eat. They just assume like, you Muslim though, right? They assume there's something going on or they won't use profanity in front of me and things like that. Because my very presence it convicts them. That's what you're supposed to be. But why are you looking for something to say? You can't say it better than Satan. I mean, listen to some of the Isley brothers between the sheets. Can you say it better than that? Satan got the dopest music. Satan got all the hits. DJ Lucifer. You know what I'm saying? You can't say it better than Satan has already said it. You're gonna get drowned out. So what you can do that Lucifer can't do, you have the Ruach HaKodesh, and you can project the light of the Creator to a point where people don't even understand what the hell you are. That you can do, but that requires a lot of life.
Experience.
Life. My father had more experience than I had, but I lived more life than he did. He used to always talk about it because he always thought I was going to die young. Because he's like, you've done so many things. I got a lot of life. You know what I mean? So, but with all that life comes stuff. Joys, a lot of pain. More pain than joy. Right? So, but through all that pain, my character becomes so sharpened and chiseled that it's very easy for me to breathe out Holy Spirit and breathe in Holy Spirit or prana. My prana flow is crazy. I have to have a lot of life to do that. You think about the words of Yahushua over the course of a 3-year ministry. That's a lot of life. You see what I'm saying? So society trains you out of life. Go to work every day, come home. Don't worry. You want something new to do? We got a new show for you to watch every day. You could binge watch if you want. See what's on sale at your local supermarket and And don't worry, the holidays are coming up soon. You'll have something to do, the fall pageant. And you know what I mean? No life. No life. What if you just say, you know what the hell with that, man? I'm going to go climb up in the tree and put a hammock up in there. I'm going to live up in there from now on. You crazy. No. Living life. I'm connected to I'm connected to when the sun rises because it was cold. Remember when we camped out there? Who was in Georgia? Remember how happy you was when the sun came up? It was freezing out there. Right, so it's a brand new day, right? It was freezing. So as soon as that sun came up, we'd be standing at that dock letting goodness, I need some sun on me. That's living. But meanwhile, when you don't have that, you know what you're doing every day? You faking eating. You faking eating. Because our goal is typically to maintain a tropical environment 24/7. We all sitting in here with short sleeves on, except for you all bundled up, but that's your, you pull them up. Because we want to feel like it's tropical right now. You turn the heat up in your house like it's tropical. When you go outside, do you want to feel cold? No, so you put on a thick coat and a scarf and gloves and all that, because I want to feel tropical. It's all fake. Instead of like, you know what, it's cold, let me go feel cold. And if I don't want to feel cold, maybe I need to move to the tropics, because it's obviously that's the only weather I actually want. That's living. And the more that you do, it shapes the character. And what it does is it makes the spirit gigantic. Makes the spirit gigantic. But in order to make the spirit gigantic, you got to make the Babylonian person tiny. Mm-hmm. And the problem or the challenge is that one comes with ridicule and the other one doesn't. The bigger your Babylonian person is, the more people praise you in the West. Now you go to the East, and the more humble you are, the more you're praised. But that's just not what we live in.
I wanted to ask about the connection between I was about to say segment, but the teaching on power. Mm-hmm. And when you pose the question about the lines that will be set up for the people who are like the sorcerer versus you, and then it had me thinking about the idea of authority, going back to a person like yourself who's speaking and guiding from a place of authority versus, I want myself to be the one who guides people versus, that's what I'm thinking about. Just where does that line of power come from? And the power that exists inside of the chief or the head of that tribe. And it not just being, I want to be the person who leads, but I take on this role because I was anointed to, or was divinely given that role, The question I wanted to ask though was, you said tribe was 3, so I was wondering if there was a connection to 3 specific things, almost like a formula.
It's a 3 Roman state.
Gotcha.
That's it.
That's it.
That's what it's an English word.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But as far as power doesn't begin until you develop a self-accusing spirit, you don't get power. Because your power is for you to conquer your own demons. It's not for anything else. Now, you got to want to conquer those demons. So you be like, Creator, please take this away from me. Take this addiction. Take this, that. Ain't nothing happening until you get that power. Then once you have the power, you're saying take it away, but you're pushing it away too. Right? So now once you get to that point and you do that enough, what happens is now you're able to look at other people and say, see what's going on with you. And when you start talking to them, you start pushing stuff out of them like an enema. It's like they ate a bunch of celery and a bunch of apples. And you're talking and it's just, stuff is coming up out of them. I'm telling you. You know what I mean? Like, because now you got that power and it's through every part of your system because you've used it to purge yourself. Purge me, oh Lord. Make me whiter than snow. Clean me up. You know what I'm saying? Take all of this and push it out of me. But now what's flowing through my veins is no longer the toxicity, but it's pure spirit. Mm-hmm. So people come around like, man, you got a glow about you. You got a da. Well, listen to me talk for a little while. Watch what's going to make it happen to you. Or it could be even the laying on of hands. When I touch you. And because everything is now is pure energy. You're high energy, I should say, right? So power, if you seek power, you'll never have power. Because why would you want power? What do you want to do? Anything you would say you want power for, you shouldn't be wanting to do that. You might say, well, I want the power to be able to help my people. Help them do what? Who's your people? Why do you got to be the one to help? You know what I'm saying? And how many people have already tried to help your people? None of them, it doesn't work. So anything you're going to say, that you're going to try to make sound noble as your reason for wanting power is going to be something off. If I say I want the power to be healed from whatever I'm going through, yeah, you're going to get that. You'll get that. I want the power to heal other people. You probably won't get that. Oh, but you ain't going to get that because you want something that you can have for you. But power is when your spirit connects to your soul, and your soul is your ruach. You didn't put that in there. So ultimately, your power is when your spirit acknowledges the presence of the Most High within you and outside of you. And once you acknowledge the presence of the Most High inside of you and outside of you, then your will is no longer your own because you recognize this ain't my power. So what do you want me to do? Like, okay, when we go over here, you want to go over here? All right. So now it's almost a trick bag, but you see that emulation in like the genie motif. I'll give you the power to do this, or Satan did that. But once Satan gives you the power to say, you're giving me the power to destroy me. This is something different. Now the Most High is giving me power, and yeah, I'm going to end up having to serve the Most High, but it's so that I can always be here. It's a different kind. So you jump in before the Most High says anything, and you offer your deal first. So now when the Most High offers their deal, I feel, this is just some more of that spirit's trying to control me stuff. And because I can't see the difference anymore between the two of them. Because I'm looking on TV and pastors got all this money and their congregation, everybody looks so pretty and beautiful and their suits look so expensive. So that must be their power. They got power. That's what it looks like. And now this one is saying, I ain't gonna give you none of that. You ain't getting none of that. So what will I have power to do? To cast out demons? I don't really want demons around me. Like, I don't really F with demons like that, to be honest with you. I don't care for them. So I don't want that. Right? What else you gonna get power to do? To heal the sick. I don't like being around sick people. So everything you giving me the power to do is something I don't really F with like that. But Creflo Dollar and the rest of they're gonna give me power to get this new, Phantom and this and that and that. I can get these vehicles. There has to be a spiritual pricking within inside of you where you recognize, like, no, you do want the power to heal the sick because you're sick. You do want the power to cast out demons because you got demons. So that's where it's supposed to begin. And once it starts then you once you have that self-accusing spirit, so many people don't have a self-accusing spirit. It ain't me, it's you. And they die like that. But self-accusation is the line is in what you want it for. All right, we're going to close out.
Unlock inspiration, knowledge, and a world of insight with the Anu blog. New volumes are released every strong. Whether it's life-changing stories or practical tips, our blog is your go-to source for enriching narratives. Discover thought-provoking articles that unite and reinforce both scripture and Anu teachings. Expand your perspective at the AnuLifeGlobal.org Anu Insights. Read the Anu blog today and start your journey to a more enlightened you.